And we are back. Apologies about that brief technical difficulties, but now we are here with the picks and bans, and I am joined by Goremizer. How are you doing?
Doing good after some brief technical difficulties for anyone. Just as a peek behind the scenes, the last thing I heard before things went haywire was, "Oh no, my internet." So just so you know, that kind of stuff can happen. But we'll be going through the bans as you saw a little bit before. Vulcan going to be the first one off the board for return. Ganesh on the other side. Pretty much, I mean, again, Ganesh staple, Vulcan the kind of person you go to specifically as a, I do not want you to have this god.
Yeah, you really don't want to... If you know that someone has a very strong Vulcan play, you really just want to get rid of it immediately. And Hokage is a fantastic Vulcan. He does have a couple of more interesting picks up his sleeve, though, so it'll be interesting to see what he goes down the line. Thoth, though, going to be the immediate pickup for return, and Osiris also getting banned out by Orphan Squad. They are still definitely very much in the mentality that Osiris and Bologna are very strong picks. So expect maybe Bologna pick up here now, but Carnanos is going to be locked in.
And that one's going to be another one that's just, I mean, he's a strong ADC. He's got everything that you would want. He has some nice CC. He has some built-in lifesteal to keep him alive and healthy through those early levels before he can get some items online. And they're going to actually go for the Terra, which is going to be even more helpful for that Carnanos, because at this point, he has his healing, her healing, and just a lot of damage to try and throw down. Those early levels might be a little rough depending on who return pick up. But at this point, that duo lane is looking pretty deadly over there from Orphan Squad.
And, I mean, this may not be a duo lane. Terra has seen
True.
competitive play in the solo lane. She hasn't seen it recently, though, but you never know. With Southeast Asia, they could try experimenting with it, especially with the new Vampiric Shroud as well, which is giving the protection and then also having the health and mana return on ability hits. So maybe she could come back. Most likely, though, it will be going into the support role. Saket being picked up, we know exactly where that's going. That's going to be going onto discretions on the side of Team Return.
And what I really like is that Return's thought process is, okay, Kern has some self-healing, Terra has a lot of healing. They're more than likely going to be picking up other people that are going to opt for lifesteal. We need something to deal with healing. Let's go ahead and grab that Saket. She's going to give us the damage, she can get in, get out, and she has that anti-heal on her ult. That's just going to be a smart pickup overall to throw into the jungle. That's going to be one that I personally think could be played extraordinarily well, but something that we had mentioned that was not actually broadcast out was the fact that Return here, they don't have the best track record right now. And when it comes down to it, any kind of step like that and any thought processes like that are going to be what they need to kind of put themselves on the board.
I mean, yeah, as you said, Team Return unfortunately not able to get into the top 4. They will not be able to go into playoffs next week. But they can still spoil Orphan Squad. If they can try and get rid of some of Orphan Squad's points here, that could be a huge deal and make sure that Viral can guarantee themselves in. Currently sitting on 11 points, Orphan Squad only on 6, so they really need these wins to try and get into the top 4.
With that, though, Odin going to be the last pickup there for the first phase from Orphan Squad, and really the only thing that clicks for me there is the fact Khepri, Thoth, both of them locked in there in that cage. They have no getaway just yet, and with the bans coming through, Huyi going to be right there. Get rid of the ADCs that might have the potential to get out. This is forcing Return into gods that have no leap, no way to get out of that cage, and if they can do that, they can cage them right. The damage they have and the way they can dump everything all onto that cage, Orphan Squad, especially with the cooldown, that's going to be just deadly combo.
Yeah, however, the thing that I do notice is that there is no Soul currently, and Soul is actually really good versus an Odin. Yes, Return do have a Thoth mid already, but that Soul could easily go into the ADC role, and it may be a little bit more difficult than you remember, but you can still play that pretty easily. So that could be something they could do as long as they pick up a physical solo laner. So we'll have to see what they go for. The Kronos is going to be locked in by the side of Orphan Squad, though, so that's going to be most likely going on Hokage. I'd be surprised if it goes anywhere else. That could be pretty interesting here.
Yeah, he's one of those gods that a lot of people at a certain point forgot that, you know, he's still a mage when it comes down to it. He still has a lot of mage abilities, and he's going to be relatively decent. The thing I'm looking at Orphan Squad right now, though, is they are going to be tower killers. Terra can tank it. Odin can tank it. Athena can tank it. And when it comes down to it, Kernanos and Kronos are just going to be able to eat every tower they go into. And Kronos, especially, the later it goes, the harder he is going to hit. And it's going to be a little bit more rough for Return, who opted into that Cupid and the Wukong.
Yeah, so they are really actually accepting the fact that they're going to get stuck in the Odin cage, which means if you get the Khepri in there, they are almost certainly dead, because that Khepri is the only saving grace to try and get them outside of that cage other than the Circuit. So you really got to hope that they can try and work around this Odin composition. Not to mention, we also see an Athena. That's interesting, especially since we already have the Terra, so maybe the Athena's going to support here, which means the Terra will be solo lane. Not sure. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, it's always one of those things that when it comes down to it's very interesting as we get into the game, we'll get to see this, but Athena and Terra are both, I mean, Athena can play 3 positions. People will argue her for solo, jungle, and for support. And I've seen her successfully do all of those. I've seen her fail at all of those. So really, it's just one of those, depending on the player who grabs her, that one's going to be it. It looks like it is going to be over here in the solo lane. That's going to be an Odin in the jungle, which is going to be even worse for Return, just because now they have to not only deal with it if he rotated from the solo lane, they have to deal with that just constant pressure in mid coming out from the Bird Bomb, and the fact that once level 5 comes down, he is going to be looking to lock down that Thoth as much as possible.
Yeah, you've got to be really careful about this Odin, because he's going to be doing a lot of work. One thing to note as well, Will the Thrill not actually on the main roster for the side of Orphan Squad. He's actually subbing in since he's their coach, but he's subbing in this week just because I can't remember who isn't here, but unfortunately they just weren't able to find enough players. So instead their coach is going to be here, and he's going to be playing in the solo lane, which actually forces their normal solo laner, India guy, over into the duo lane. But in the mid lane, though, Discretion's taking a lot of damage from Custom.
Yeah, while Cirquette has high mobility and while she is really good at get in, get out, you have to have the get out part first, and that's just not going to happen for Discretions. He's going to get first blooded right there. That's just standard over-aggression, went too deep, too early. You're still level 1. You need that level 2 for your second leap just to be able to get away, and unfortunately for him, wasn't able to find it.
Yeah, and now that's going to cause a lot more problems for Discretions here. You're going to see Cussard going straight into this speed, going straight into this speed buff. They want to take this away, make sure that they are trying to get rid of as much farm as possible. I do believe Pace actually rotated over to take out the small fire elemental, so that will be some sort of benefit. But Discretions is actually back over in this mid lane already, trying to take out this mid camp. Still only level 1. That's going to be a huge difference early on.
And one of the other things that's really going to hurt the Circuit, not only now falling behind, but when you look at Hokage Devil and you see the fact that he's on Kronos, Circuit can't really all in. You can't 100 to 0 him fast enough until late game, when you have crit online, when you're able to just absolutely hit him hard enough to kill him. Because otherwise, once that rewind goes off, all of your damage means nothing. All of your abilities are on cooldown. And at that point, you feel useless. There's nothing you can really do from that point. So Discretion's really going to have to play this one to the note in order to kill him. And already sitting 2 levels behind the mid laner, I just feel like he's not going to have the impact you want out of a jungle for Return.
Yeah, not to mention as well, the rest of Return is actually trying to clear this jungle away from the side of Orphan Squad to make sure that Orphan Squad themselves don't get any more. You saw that the Oracles actually went to this dual lane side, so Bunny's going to be able to get a little bit more XP over Cookie Latte, who is also another sub on the side of Orphan Squad, I may need to point out. Nice clap, though. Bunny taking quite a bit of damage here. He does at least have the hearts to try and heal himself up a little bit. Doesn't have to worry too much. Not to mention you've even got the Khepri shield as well. So I doubt that he'll be in any big problem until those ultimates start coming out. But once they do, and especially if Custard rotates early, that could be a big deal for him.
And as it stands right now, it looks like pretty much everyone on Orphan Squad at this point is playing a little bit more carefully than they were earlier, and Discretion's going to be the one who's kind of taking shots right there. But all of the players more or less trying to hover around their tower line. They aren't getting too aggressive. They know that, honestly, with that deficit in the jungle, they don't have as big an impact as they could all across the map. It actually looks like there might be some odd communication. Discretion's making the rotation to the dual lane, and they're not there. He's going to be able to soak up some farm, and ultimately it's going to be worthwhile because, again, he's now sitting at level 3 compared to the 5 on the Odin on the other side. But it's just one of those things that I don't know what kind of rotations he's looking for, where he is going, what his mindset is right now. other than I need to farm, I need to get experience. And unfortunately for him, this is going to be kind of the hardest thing for him to do because they still need to split that efficiently between all of them.
Will the Throw unfortunately just missed that taunt. Custard was very close to Pace here. Pace in general has actually had a very difficult time versus Will the Thrill here. He's been doing quite a lot of good pressure. Will actually going to use the Athena ultimate to TP into lane faster than Pace. So that's quite a nice little thing to do. And now they're actually going to go and invade the blue buff.
And with that, this should be able to get a little bit of extra, although a 4-man collapse going to be coming into the blue buff right now, looking for the damage. Custard's going to be taking a little bit, going to get plucked up. Will the Thrill sitting at about half health, but there's going to be the cage. And ultimately, that should be a good disengage. Final Judgment not going to be able to connect. And Orphan Squad looking to be able to run away, although getting chased down. Custard just a couple of hits away. Serket going to hit him with one. Pace going to be able to pick him up with the other. And that's going to be the first blood for Return there, now tying it up 1-1. And as it stands, Will the Thrill actually going to be able to get a return? This is when they're going a little bit too deep as it goes. Now Thoth going to be making that rotation over. But this is just another kind of case of Return discretions at this point a little bit too aggressive. And you can kind of see that aggressive playstyle when it comes through. The crit's not going to be there online yet. He's more of a late game character at this point. He needs his passive to work off of. He's level 4 and he's fighting into level 6s. And the aggressive playstyle just doesn't pay off because of that. When you have that just level disadvantage, there's not much you can really do in this circumstance. He needs to just be patient and farm, but he sees these kills and he's playing like he's a level 6 jungler right now when he's just now ticking into level 5, just now has that ultimate online. And that again comes into play when you look at Hokage Devil on the other side for Orphan Squad. How is the Serket, who is falling behind, going to be able to 100-0 kill off a Kronos before he can get that rewind off? And the answer is really, really difficult. It's not going to be the easiest thing for him. Still might be able to do it off, especially if he can combo with Leviticus just perfectly. But it's just not going to be perfect for them. They have to be right on point in order to have that combo go through. And with it, I feel like Hokage Devil ultimately is going to have that advantage because, again, Rewind is just going to be able to reset him right before Discretions can get any aggression.
Yeah, not to mention as well, Levictus's ultimate is very long for that wind-up before it fires. That gives Hokage a beautiful amount of time to actually set up and go into that rewind. Which means that if Levictus really wants to try and get a nice kill onto Hokage, he's got to make sure that rewind is down beforehand, and that's going to come out to a lot of communication coming out from Return, knowing when it is down. However, there seems to be potential fighting going on over on this right-hand side because Discretions is meeting Custard in the jungle yet. He doesn't particularly want to fight him since he is 2 levels down.
And this is going to be one of those things where Discretions, I can feel it. Like, he has the burn to fight. He just wants to pick a fight every step of the way, anywhere he can find one. But it just kind of goes back as it looks like a short little pause going to be coming through. His India guy had a small DC. But the fighting just doesn't work for you there when you are this behind us on a Serket. And I hate to keep harping on him, so I'm going to look away and give my attention somewhere else. But when it comes down to it, his impact as a jungle at this point is going to be pretty much nothing. I mean, now who can he gank? He goes to the mid lane. He's going up against the 3 levels ahead Kronos, who has a rewind. Can't really 100-0 him with the current build and level state. Goes to the solo lane. Can't really help kill off an Athena because it's an Athena. When you look at the way it's going to go, as he actually is able to end up getting a kill off of the Athena, thanks to the help of Pace there, ultimately, he is going to be low impact, and he needs more ganks like that one, but as it stands in the mid lane, he has to be there for each fight, and he just isn't going to have the same impact as I feel we're going to see out of the Odin.
Yep, and I am back. Apologies for that, but Hokage actually going to have the Athena ultimate challenge on top of him. Discretion's forced to use the leap away. Taunt gonna miss though. Hokage does still find it using the time rift. Now Hoxie is well a little bit low in this tier 1 tower, but he is gonna be able to get out pretty safely. Orphan Squad finding another kill under the tier 1 tower, showing a lot more pressure.
And this is just another one of those things where it comes down to it, the aggression coming down from Orphan Squad. They have the ability to put that pressure down. India guy actually going to be forced to kind of fall back there, the damage being thrown out. And this is where Levictus is going to come in. This is where Thoth in the mid lane is going to come in. He can still chunk, and even though he doesn't have that much mana, even though he's only level 8 right now, people will underestimate that. And like you said, while Final Judgment has a lot of wind-up time, if you can get that off at the right time during a team fight, it will absolutely like just blow people up. And if he can do this properly, he should be able to get that going, as it looks like so far every team going to be a little bit lax, not pushing for objectives this early on. No one seems to have that definitive lead that they want, although Orphan Squad now at this point starting to kind of pull themselves ahead. It's not a huge lead, but it's 600 gold, about 700, 800 experience really, and that's just like the starting ground here for them.
Yeah, it's a very early lead. It's not going to be doing a whole lot. It's maybe, well, it's a whole relic upgrade at most for one player rather than the entire team. So that's not a big lead from against Return, especially since they did lose that first blood gold. That's about what it's worth. So we'll have to see what Orphan Squad do, because they need to try and actually stop Return from farming so efficiently, because they do have a very good late game. You have the Circuit damage with the true damage later on. You've got Levictus with the insane damage that Thoth can provide if hit correctly. Hokage going to have the Athena ultimate onto him again. Wilderthor is using this on cooldown, I think, just to try and make sure he can get back into lanes quickly. He is going to lose a little bit of XP on this right-hand side and a little bit of tower damage as well, but there's a big fight going on over in mid lane yet again, forcing Custard actually to back off since he's on about a third HP.
And it looks like we're going to be seeing the Gremlins over here. The Fire Elemental is going to be picked up. Team Return, they're doing a good job of farming and trying to keep themselves afloat right now. But again, with the way that Discretions has been playing, which to his credit, he has done very well in catching back up in these last couple of minutes. Before it was the 3-level disadvantage. Now closing to about 1 to 2 levels for pretty much every single person on Orphan Squad. And if they can keep this kind of level of play up, honestly, by the 15-minute mark, that's going to be when things are going to start kicking off. That's when we're going to start seeing teams look for Gold Fury. That's when we're going to start seeing baits for these objectives. And with the Portal Demon spawning up, that gives Return that ability to either choose to fight that or choose to burst any objective on the map that they want to. They can try to bait out.
We're actually seeing a big fight. Bunny forced to use the Purification as well. Pace, meanwhile, finishing off Wilderthor over in the solo lane. Cookie is very low right now. He's on about 100 HP, using that life steal, trying to heal up. So unfortunately, he's not going to be taken down by Bunny, but there's more fighting going over on the solo lane.
Now they're going to continue their aggression over here, looking for it. Well, up into the sky goes Pace. The taunt going to be coming through as Custard looking to run away. The damage going to be not as good from Pace as I think he thought he would be able to do there. Wukong, well, you can do a lot. Honestly, that Jingu Bang just chunked Custard. It's not enough to get the kill just yet, and Custard will be able to live to see another day.
Yeah, and that was actually mostly down to Terra's Blessing as well. Indie Guy going to have Wilderthor yet again using this Athena ultimate. I feel like Will just really does not want to try and use a teleport. Instead, he's going to be looking for more of these stronger relics, because, of course, in 4.13, we saw a lot of relics buffed. Horrific Emblem receiving that 20% damage reduction to all players hit, and Meditation as well, also getting an extra cooldown reduction if hit by it. And you even see Shell as well, providing the block stacks. So you're seeing these really interesting little things. However, beautiful call out coming from Orphan Squad here. Gold Fury is actually going to be started up. It's very near finish, and Bunny's the only one left. Orphan Squad get the Gold Fury. That was really good.
I mean, and right now they're looking to possibly pick up some kills as well, as Discretion's got a little aggressive there, but he fell back almost immediately. And that's the perfect kind of call. I mean, at that point, you have no real reason to hesitate. They grab that up, they take their lead and extend it even further. Discretion's now going to get caught out, taunted in, a lot of damage through the wall. Thoth trying to do whatever he can. The Kepriel coming through, but the patience from Orphan Squad is going to be good. The cage not going to be good enough to lock him down. It looks like Discretions might get to live to see the rest, at least to see another fight. But as it stands, that's the kind of play. I mean, Discretions at that point, that's what's going to be shaky for him. That's going to be what might cause his team to collapse, is if they lose their jungler just because he overextends, things go poorly, especially right after a Gold Fury where Orphan Squad's finally able to kind of swing things back into their favor, and it's still not enough of a solid lead for them to feel comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, we've not actually talked about this combo, but the Athena-Odin combination is actually surprisingly strong. Just because you have that taunt into the Bird Bomb doing ridiculous amounts of damage, Castle's actually going to try and stop this Portal Demon. He doesn't have cage, he used it earlier, and is going to get blown up because of it, but it does leash that Portal Demon. It's not going to be enough for the rest of his team to be able to come over here. but that delays it a little bit longer. But Bunny finds Cookie Latte over in the duo lane is a solo kill. That's big news as well, because that means Return is starting to find a couple of things. Admittedly, they lost the Gold Fury, but that doesn't matter so much earlier on. Now you really want to be looking for these kills. You want to be looking for this tower, and Will the Thrill is going to have a lot of problems soon.
And with the way that things are going, again, not only will the Thrill having that a little bit of aggression as they're trying to force away, Khepri getting low, no ult to his name, looking to get stunned out, taken down. Will the Thrill going to be able to get that? Discretion's now trying the best to run away. Z Bunny has rotated over, going to miss that heart bomb though, and that's going to be a big chunk of damage that's just completely off the board. And it looks like Return going to call that one as the Portal Demon going to get used. Pace back in the fight if he wants to help set the pace for the next fight, but ultimately it looks like Orphan Squad, again, they're being a little bit more patient, a little bit more careful than we're seeing pretty much out of all of Return. Return want to fight. They want to do whatever they can. As I say, Pace running right down the mid lane to do any cause of disruption, which is exactly what you want a Wukong to do. And it's working for them and also not working for them, just depending on the way that Orphan Squad have returned to the fight when it comes down to it. And as it stands right now, I'm going to be looking. Discretion's slowly but surely coming online. Just a couple more items, and he's going to be hitting hard. His Pace coming into the backline, doing a lot of damage. Mid lane, though, there's 4 against 1, and while he is safe from the tower, I'm not sure he's safe from the team.
Oh, nice rewind there from Hokage. Going to keep him alive a little bit longer. Is going to find the time stop onto 2 people. And Pace as well forced to go into the cloud and back away from the rest of his team. Bunny is around. He could look to try and come back in. But with the fact that Cookie Latte is on full HP, instead going for the Oracles here is the much smarter and much safer choice. But I was actually about to say this. Yeah, Team Return is being very aggressive. But go and have a look at the graphs. It's working for them. As you said, they are actually now in the lead themselves. They managed to go for a 1k gold turnaround roughly, and that is actually really good because look at the XP difference. That's now gone over 2,000. That's more of a lead than Orphan Squad had originally. That's huge. So they've just been able to do so much on these couple of things.
And the thing that really grabs me for that is the fact that Discretions is still in this point where he's not necessarily going to be the strongest person on the team, but he came back from that deficit early game. He was sitting, I mean, level 2 when we saw Kronos take over to 4 and then 5, and now he's sitting at level 11. Again, it's not going to be enough to really help kill Hokage Devil just because of that rewind, although right now there's a perfect window for it. It's going to be enough to help. I mean, we've seen him shut down Will the Thrill. We've seen him make some rotations over to the dual lane. And right now, with Bunny kind of getting that advantage over Cookie Latte, this is the perfect prime time for this Circuit, and I expect to see Discretion start to rise up. And if they can continue farming the way they have, this could be Return's return to a win here, because I believe at this point they haven't been able to close out a game, and that's kind of the one thing. I don't know if I've seen them maintain enough of a lead to say this is going to be an absolute win for them, but I know that this is going to be a good start, and that's really where they need to go.
Yeah, Bunny trying to lazy back is actually going to get caught out here. Custard trying to slow him down, doing what he can. Nice cage here. Actually going to keep Bunny locked down, and this is just him dead unless he can get out of this cage. Nice Khepri ultimate. Actually going to save him. They're going to pop it, letting him go all the way back now. He's going to be able to get out for free. I don't know why they just popped that. Will the Thrill just missing that taunt as well. Yet there are 5 members of Orphan Squad around here, and Gold Fury is just coming up. Return don't quite know it yet, but this could be something that they're going to have to defend. Levictus is around. They should be okay defending it. So instead, Orphan Squad just sort of accept it and go into this mid lane. Although it looks like Cookie might want to try and start this up.
Yeah, just looking for the patience. And again, this is going to be the bait and switch when it comes down to it. Orphan Squad want to cause someone on Return to just step out of position, trying to get a little bit too aggressive. Doesn't seem like it's working out for them this way, although with keeping all 5 members over here, this is the perfect time to start looking for aggression elsewhere on the map if they want to go for it. But with no Portal Demon available, leaving the Gold Fury side is a little bit too big of a risk, because the minute that goes down, especially for Orphan Squad, who's already starting to trail after they got the first one, things start to swing very heavily in favor of Return. Right now, I'm mainly looking to see where Return wants to put their aggression, because it seems like both of the teams are taking it relaxed. They're maintaining their composure. They're not letting anything get to them. And that's going to be the important thing is, so far, I mean, like Levictus, he is this kind of player who is dealing this damage. I haven't seen him get caught out by the Odin cage. He is just constantly aware of this, and the presence of mind coming out from Return right now is doing well for fights.
Yeah, the problem with the fact that he hasn't been caught out in Odin cages is because he's mostly been under tower. He's not really using his damage to its effectiveness. If you're going to have a quick look at the player damage, you can see he's one of the lowest in the game currently. This is because you're an early game Thoth. You don't do a whole lot of damage early on. He's also built into the Celestial Legion helm, which means he's looking for more sort of protection rather than trying to get as much damage and become a glass cannon. So expect to sort of see him sit back most of the time, not really get involved into the Odin cage anyway. And now you actually do see a Phantom Veil coming out onto Hosey as well, so you're most likely not going to see Levictus getting too stuck in these Odin cages. And that's a big deal for Orphan Squad, because that's a huge ultimate that they really sort of need gone down the drain. And this Portal Demon being started up yet again, they sort of realize that Orphan Squad isn't around to protect it.
Portal Demon right now, a little bit below health. Hokage Devil coming in, not going to be able to steal it away. Now might get caught out. He's getting CC chained down. He will get that rewind off and go back, get all of his health back. But that Portal Demon was pretty much just full clean from return. And they go over and get the Gold Fury, as we saw Cookie started up. And now it's looking like he's going to fall. Fields of Love on the ground beats, and the Age is going to be used, but it's not enough to keep you alive. One pig going to be running away, but Bunny doesn't mind. He got the kill.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal, getting that kill, and now Pace as well, just trying to go in the front line, trying to annoy as many people as possible. Actually, Hokage almost getting wiped out yet again. Will the Thrill going to be in this cage, trying to do what he can to Pace, who is locked inside, but there you go, the Care Priest Blessing, going to keep him alive a little bit longer. Will the Thrill as well, very low on this backline, Discretions as well, trying to do what he can. Custard going to take a little bit of damage from that madness. Yet Return are now pushing into this tier 2. They could actually easily take this. Custard forced to use the Bird Bomb away. India guy on half HP, he can't contest. Hokage only just coming back as well. His cooldowns are not up. He doesn't have his ultimate anymore. This might be a Fire Giant call coming out from Return here.
They're all running towards the pit. It's going to be started up here soon already, taking a decent chunk of damage just for the few seconds that it's been started. Will the Thrill going to be making the rotation in, looking for whatever he can. The Fire Giant still over half health, but they know that the call is there. Orphan Squad going to be looking for anything, but the zoning coming out from Return right now is perfect. Will the Thrill hasn't been able to get in there, but India Guy, Hokage Devil, Cookie Latte all coming over. Discretions and Pace doing their best, and Fire Giant has now been leashed just to try and save the team, do whatever they can, but the collapse actually going to be turning into a retreat coming out from Return, and ultimately they will get out of this one, but they've actually kind of set Orphan Squad up in good position, health bar and mana bars. If they wanted to, they could potentially turn and collapse on that Fire Giant, but it doesn't look like that's what they have their mind on.
Because they know Pace's teleport is up. Because Pace's teleport is up, that's a huge deal. Whereas, I was talking about it earlier, Will the Thrill's been using the Athena ultimate as her teleport. But that means that she needs a teammate to try and teleport to, rather than using just simple wards. Levictus actually in the mid lane going forwards, trying to take out Indie Guy, and now going to be caught in this cage. As you said, Aegis used, this could be a bit of a problem, and now the Phantom Veil used as well. Custard taking a bit of damage in this front line. He doesn't have any of his kit up. He is going to go down to Discretion's Pace in the back line, trying to do what he can to annoy people.
Final Judgment going to get thrown out there, not going to connect with anybody. Pace looking to lead the way again as him and Discretions are in the front. Z-Bunny going to get stunned out there at the very front of it all. But as it stands, it looks like Return not going to get too aggressive, although they took down that tier 2, so there wasn't anything to really worry about. I think they just didn't want to play too deep into the hand of Orphan Squad there. And when they fall back, they have some objectives that will be respawning in a little bit, so I think they wanted to just maintain healthy composure and keep themselves alive. And when you look at the mana bar, at least for Bunny, he wasn't really able to continue his aggression. He honestly should back, be ready for the next fight, but as it stands, pushing up the waves, getting the farm that's on the map, and just clearing out whatever Orphan Squad could be able to take if they took the next fight. Make sure that you can maintain a lead, and that's exactly what Return's doing. That's exactly what they're going to be able to do. And now this tier 1 on the left-hand side, it's not looking too healthy anymore.
Yeah, it's going to go down immediately without fail. I'd be surprised with somehow Return not being able to take that out, but it's going to go down, going to give more gold to the side of Team Return. And look at those graphs. When we were talking about the fact that Orphan Squad had a lead, this has completely turned around in Return's favor. Now sitting at a 4.3k gold lead and a 5k experience lead as well. That's a huge difference considering what we saw in the first sort of 8 minutes of this game.
And
what happened?
I feel like a lot of that really does kind of play straight into the fact that when it comes down to it, I'm going to put it on the Odin. I'm going to not necessarily blame Custard, but I'm going to blame the God. You have a window when you are going to be incredibly strong, where you need to be incredibly aggressive, and you can get a lot done if you fight and if you play properly. That window is gone. That window has been shut and nailed for about 7 minutes, I want to say, at this point, where he's still going to be effective. He's still a good tank. He still can get some damage down, and that cage is still going to be valuable. But because he's not been aggressive early on, because he waited now that the Phantom Veil is available as well for Return, they just weren't able to lock anyone down. They weren't able to get the kills and get the lead that their team would have gotten had he been a little bit more aggressive. And with the fact that Discretion's in that early game, when we could have seen Custard shine, was falling behind already, it would have been perfect for him. But when it comes down to it, I just feel like they didn't get the aggression they needed early on. And now they're looking at it and they're like, okay, well, we have a Warrior and 2 Guardians. Where's our damage going to come from? It's like, well, Kernanos, who so far has only been able to go 0-2, has actually gotten soloed a couple times by this Cupid. And we do have, this Kronos, which is going to be great, but when is this Kronos going to be great? And it's like, yes, over time he gets better and better, he gets harder and harder, but if you can't keep him alive, if you keep forcing him to use the rewind like Return has been able to, there's nothing that I'm going to say that Hokage Devil can really do except maybe stay alive.
He's currently sitting on 350 magical power. It's going to slowly increase over time, as you said. But also note, he's not finished his Shaman's Ring yet. He's got 42 stacks on it currently, so he needs another 800 player damage to try actually finish this off and do the extra 10% bonus damage, which he's going to be doing a lot more because Kronos is one of those interesting gods who has very low cooldown on his abilities. He'll be using the stop time into constant usage of that time rift. So you're not going to be able to get away from that extra 10% if he does start applying it, yet he's nowhere near it. And then to make that worse, he also only has 10 penetration, which means that he's starting to do very little versus Pace and Hosey. I mean, Pace as well, going for the Genji's Guard now, so going for quite a strong item since it actually got some extra health last patch. Not to mention, it is also sitting on 70 magical protection, so Hokage is just feeling like he is useless versus Pace currently.
Yeah, and as you said, with time, and as we've mentioned, with time, Kronos is going to get better, which kind of makes sense considering that's what he's got of. And as it goes forward, Hokage Devil, I'm looking at him less really as this I'm going to be the carry for the team and more as the I'm going to be the one that takes down these towers. But the problem is that Orphan Squad haven't really been able to find their way into the towers. It looks like we're going to see the Portal Demon going to be causing a little bit of distress over here in the Fire Giant pit. People looking for the fight. Damage going to be thrown down. No one going to be collapsing on it just yet. All of the objectives in terms of the neutral objectives have come back up. 2 towers are left standing right now for Orphan Squad, and they're both going to be tier 2s on the side lanes there. But there is a Phoenix exposed, and if we see Return pick up a Fire Giant, that is absolutely going to be a base break. And when it comes down to it, this is going to be, I want to say, the next fight that really determines it. And depending on how the teams decide to split, as we're going to see go forward, Tong going to come out, Pace going to be taking a little bit of damage, but he's a Wukong, and he doesn't worry too much about it. He'll be sitting maybe a 3rd health low, but Cupid should be able to heal him up nicely.
Yeah, going to be able to hit him up a little bit more. Not to mention as well, you've got just a decent amount of damage. Nice purification pull from Levictus though. Castle going to come in with a beautiful Odin Cage. Alongside the Kronos is actually going to be doing a huge amount of damage. Levictus is going to be falling first. Pace is in the middle of this fight. He's on full HP, but Terra's Blessing and that Monolith are healing up a little bit more. Will the Throw is going to get used by Discretion's ultimate, but Discretion is already dead. Pace going to find Will the Throw. Bunny going to go down to cut or taking down Custard. Now, India Guy very low on HP as well. Rewind used by Hokage. India Guy gonna be finished off by Pace here, and now Cookie Latte is the only one trying to deal with Pace. Gonna root him away. Meanwhile, Hokage in the mid lane, running back towards Pace, maybe to try and stop him from killing Cookie. Nice minion block, actually gonna keep Cookie alive there. Unfortunately, you do leash the minion wave when you get too close to it, and that's what the Tiger hit.
As it's going to be, that will be the call for the Portal Demon from Return. It's 3-for-2 trade overall. It's not going to be the worst thing, although the fight just a little bit sloppy really coming down from the advantage that Return had going into that and the way they played it. It seemed like they held on to that Phantom just a little bit too long really coming out of it. I wonder if it was just trying to maximize how many people they could hit, if it was a little bit of communication issues, but it doesn't really matter because the team took the Portal Demon, and with the revives coming up from the respawns, they are now prime for this Fire Giant that's already half health. Hokage Devil might be able to smell it out, but is getting zoned away from Discretions, looking to try and find anything. They might get a kill. That Fire Giant's gone. And
I think smelling it out is a little bit of a misnomer, because that's more of a let's hear it out, because it just screamed in our ears that it has now gone the way of Team Return. That's going to be a big deal, because as you said, this could be a base push now for the side of Team Return. If they want to, they need to group up and make sure everyone's ready to do it. But there's still a lot of buffs to pick up. There's still this gold tree on this left-hand side, which Cookie Latte is now having to drop since he realized the Victus isn't that far away. And you've now got the red buff going the way of Bunny. You've got the purple buff going to go the way of Hosey. Now you've got all your buffs done. You've got gold tree in your sights. You could easily do this if you want to. Custard is nearby, but that's not too bad because your Phantom's coming up soon in only 20 seconds.
One of the things I just saw, and as the Gold Fury going to get started up, was Cookie Latte actually trying to start up and do this Gold Fury, as we're going to see the cage come down and almost immediately just get demolished because the Gold Fury broke it. Custard, you forgot about that one, and as it stands, Gold Fury going to be going right now for Orphan Squad. They're going to be able to pick that one up as we see Discretions go in. Custard low, the shield going to be the only saving grace he has, but no, it bursts because of the jump, and he loses his health over it. Levictus going to be able to pick up the India guy, and now the three left standing over here under the tier 2. Discretion's a little too low, going to fall into the backline for his team, but the rest of them looking to lead the way. Will the Thrill, not with a healthy health bar, going to fall down relatively soon. The same thing goes for Cookie Latte. The Phoenix going to be their only saving grace as the rewind comes down. Hokage Devil now going to be standing between pretty much every member of Return, having to choose who he wants to get aggressive on. He's going to be going for Levictus, but the damage is going to be returned onto him. Ultimately, he has to run away, but this tier 2 tower is exposed and gone.
Yep, also note, Hokage, yet again, not going for any more penetration. He's sitting on Hastened Ring right now. So yes, he does get that increased movement speed, but he's going to have a problem with the fact that he has no penetration. Cookie Latte now going to go down as well. Not quite is going to be able to get that headbutt away. Pace on about half HP, still not worrying too much because of that Fire Giant regeneration as the Phoenix falls down. Custard trying to get that ultimate off. Very nice ultimate onto Bunny. And Pace here as well. Pace does have that Phantom Veil on him, and he's going to be able to go into the Somersault Cloud as well to regen a little bit more HP, as the rest of Return just backs off since Hosey, yeah, he died, but that's not too big of a deal. As long as you've got Pace nearby, you can actually easily tank this tier 2 tower on the right-hand side, so they can still push if they want to.
And if I'm a support and you say, okay, look, you're going to die, but we're going to get a few kills, we're going to get a tier 2, and we're going to get the Phoenix, worth. Like, I don't care. Kill me, sacrifice me, whatever you need to do, that's going to be worthwhile. Although it looks like we're going to be seeing Return not opt for that tier 2. I think they might not be as comfortable fighting without the double tank going on. I think they have the CC, or maybe they just want to spend some of the gold because they just got a nice chunk coming down from it. Orphan Squad, they were able to get that Gold Fury there, but ultimately, just not going to be swinging in their favor. Looking at the charts one more time, and 31 minutes in, this is when things start to be relatively solid. We don't see too many, I mean, we do see a few comebacks, but ultimately, unless Orphan Squad kind of switch up what's going on right now, 8,300 experience, 6,700 gold. And right now, it looks like Return are just going to continue down this warpath.
I mean, yeah, you were talking about that Gold Fury swinging, but you see that little itty-bitty dip around the 32-minute mark? That's Gold Fury. That's all the Gold Fury did for Orphan Squad, and it was immediately taken back by Return and doubled. They are now nearly 7k gold in the lead and nearly 9k XP in the lead as well. There are a couple level 20, so it's not a big deal, but notice just the fact that Discretion's 2 levels above Custard. When did this turnaround happen? Because last time I remember, Discretions was 2 levels behind Custard.
And with it, I feel like, again, Odin, not exactly the, not only style, but really when it comes down to it, God, that you want to have coming into the jungle, as you're going to be seeing that tier 2 tower fall just so incredibly fast. And this is without the Fire Giant buff. That's been off their belts for a little bit. It's going to be respawning in about 30 seconds. It'll look like Return are going to set themselves up to wait for that one. Portal Demon should be spawning up just a little before that one. I want to just give a rough estimate, probably 20 seconds, maybe, I mean, even less considering it's flashing right now as it's going to be going through. They should be able to clean that one up, no problem. Orphan Squad, this is their opportunity. This is the chance they need to break in. If Fire Giant gets started up, they need to be in that pit.
Yeah, they really need to be in that pit, and Hokage and Cookie Latte, a little bit delayed, but they are coming towards this. Hokage, actually, they're going to be going over to try and defend that left-hand side, even to make sure those fire minions don't do too much damage to this Titan, because, again, that is another important thing. You want to try and keep that Titan as full HP as possible. That Phoenix is coming up soon, and due to the changes in 4.13, you will see it do a little more damage when it comes up, and actually take a little more damage as well. So expect it to be a little more difficult for Return to push in, but they do have this Fire Giant. It's going to be easier than last time when they had it. And so they're just going to be able to push it. They're going to be looking for maybe this middle one as well. India guy going to have the Athena ultimate onto him, looking for the Fire Giant. All of the squad are actually going to steal the Fire Giant away, but Bunny is going to take out Custom before they can do anything else. Aegis was used by Bunny as well. Discretion's using the ultimate onto India guy, forcing him away. Pace also forcing them away, using that Somersault Cloud. And I believe the Capri ultimate was used onto Bunny as well. But they lost the Fire Giant. That's going to make it really hard for Return to try and push into this.
And
really
with that
hard.
Phoenix on the left-hand side going to be respawning soon as well, that's going to make it, I mean, just increasingly more difficult because now they have to break through it. And while it's going to be a little bit easier to kill, again, it's still a Phoenix. Like, no matter what, it's still a Phoenix that you're trying to break into. And that's going to be the easiest one on the left-hand side. But with 4 members with Fire Giant and defending, Orphan Squad have a distinct advantage. If Return aggresses into this, that's when they throw. That's just the kind of play you don't want to do. You need to bait Orphan Squad out of that base somehow, and it's going to be difficult to do because there's nothing appetizing for them out here on the map. All of the jungle buffs that are respawning look to be going down relatively fast as Team Return looking around through the jungle, but no Fire Giant, no Portal Demon, Gold Fury just got taken. When it comes down to it, there's nothing Orphan Squad really need other than to push up these waves, and they can do that very comfortably from their own sidelines. They really just have to wait this one out and see what Return do. They need Return to just get impatient, and they've been doing that. Impatience has been kind of the name of the game for some of these players, where they've just kind of overextended themselves. They've wanted to fight, and when it comes down to it, that's exactly what they need to not do. They need to find the right aggression and find like the right point to pull out Orphan Squad, but going under the Phoenix, especially when they have Fire Giant, is not the play.
I mean, I do actually see a very tasty target for the side of Orphan Squad, and that is Bunny. If you can take out this 5-0 Cupid, that's going to be a huge deal, and they're looking to do exactly that. He's already nearly dead, but the Capri's Blessing is going to be able to keep him alive, and now everyone on the side of Orphan Squad has gone a little bit too far in. Nice ultimate from Levix is going to wipe out Hokage, and now Discretion as well going to fall down to Cookie Latte, looking for the India guy. He's a little bit low, trying to finish off his Pace. Nice Mantle of Discord going to stun him out, and that's going to be able to finish him off, as well throw guys in the backline as well. Now looking for Cookie Latte, he's not going to live much longer. Custard is the only one left. Level 17, 4 members. This is a game for Return.
4 members with Fire Giant, and they've managed to get all 3 Phoenixes back. How do you lose a defense like that? The answer is you decided to fight the other team where your tier 1 used to be. You go hyper aggressive and go into that fight. And while it looked like it started out, I mean, Orphan Squad at the beginning of that, they were looking pretty good. They had it going for them. And that's when everything fell apart. And that's when it all kind of came crashing down for them. Now they lose their Titan because of it. They lose their game. Return finally able to pick one up right there. But when it comes down to it, Orphan Squad, that was just, I don't know what the thought process was, what that fight was. But when it came down to it, Return were the ones that needed to bait them out, and ultimately they got what they wanted. They got them not only out of there, but wiped them, and they get their win.
I mean, that was something I was actually going to say, is you actually have this big thing of, if you try to, well, like, you saw that Bunny was there. He was very low HP, and that was a perfect target for him to go on. Yet they still completely forgot that Kepri's blessing exists. You can just take him out of the fight no matter what. And that let Pace do a lot of damage. It made sure the bunny was back on near full HP. And then you got Levictus doing ridiculous amounts of damage through the rest of it as well. You just can't